have on the line Mr. Adjei, General Secretary of the Public Sector Workers Union on the line. We're going to talk about the IMF and its effect on the worker. Good morning, Mr. Adjei.
Good morning, my brother.
Yes, how are you doing?
By God's grace, I'm fine. How are you too?
Oh, we are also good. We are also good. Mr. Adjei, the IMF deal, how is it going to affect public sector workers? Is it going to affect us negatively or positively?
Well, thank you very much. As you may well be aware, the Trade Union Congress and for that matter workers are always opposed to our government going to the IMF for one obvious reason. And that is basically that IMF programs has over the years not inured to the benefits of the ordinary Ghanaian worker. Not to mention, it's not only public sector workers that it affects, but of course, the bigger part of the impact also affects public sector workers. So we have always opposed IMF programs or deals because of the negative impact they have on us as workers. So yes, it's going to have a huge negative impact on us. We have no doubt about that, and that is why we always speak against it if our government indicates that they are going to the IMF.
Yeah. So what can we do to bring down this negative effect? Because it's a 3-year program. How are we going to manage it?
No, my brother, I mean, I think as a country we have failed over and over again to do what we need to do to make sure that we do not even find ourselves in a situation that would call for us to go to the IMF. Successive governments and the current government has woefully failed in terms of the economic policies and programs that they implement and how they manage our economy. The facts and evidences are there for us to see. We all heard before this government came to power how they criticized the previous government for going to the IMF and all the things they said about not going to the IMF. But at the end of the day, they have shown that they have also failed to take this country to where it needed to be. Economic management have been a big failure on their part, and I think that is the only thing we need to do as citizens of this country. I think we need to be more demanding of the government and the people we elect into government that policies that they implement are what would take this country to where it's supposed to be, and not this cycle of going to the IMF, workers and citizens going through various hardships. And until such a time that we do that, I'm sorry, we will continue in this. We also have our government having this attitude that any proposal from any protest in terms of economic policy, be it civil society or organized labor groups, they are always ignored. When this government came to power, the Social Partnership Council was formed, which was intended to come out with economic policies and programs that will enable us develop this country so that we don't go back to the IMF. Unfortunately, the government made sure that the Social Partnership Council did not work, and it failed. And I can tell you for a fact, there's no program that they have come out or was agreed upon, because it was not government intention to allow the Social Partnership Council to work. So I think that as citizens, we need to take a stronger view and a stronger position on how our economy is managed. And until we do that, we will not be free from this IMF clutches.
Yeah, so what options are left for the social partners looking at the impact?
Well, for now, what we know is the VAT is going to how do I call it? It's going to be expanded more or less. There is going to be progressive increases in income taxes, which means the taxes of workers are going to be going up. And ironically, we understand that a ceiling is going to be placed on increases in public sector pay and salary. There will be quarterly adjustments of electricity and water tariffs, limits on employment, and a whole host of difficulties and hardships that are going to be imposed on public sector. So, well, I can assure you that as public sector workers, we are going to resist and fight any of these measures that will bring untold hardship. It is incumbent upon government also, having taken this step, to make sure that all the burden is not left for workers to bear, while government continues to enjoy having big government, large number of ministers, investing in projects that could wait, projects such as the National Cathedral and others that can wait. If you see any indication that government is doing business as usual, of course, we would also not take any cut in our pay. We understand there's going to be a second round of debt restructuring. My brother, we are also going to do our homework, and we can only assure our members that when the time comes, we will elect them, we'll provide them with the needful information. And if government does not listen to us, we'll do what we know how to do best. We'll embark on industrial action to make sure that our fundamental rights as workers are respected, and we don't pay the full cost of the challenges that our economy are going through due to the negligence and poor, bad economic management practices of the government.
Yeah, so can you expand on the conditionality? Because it seems you are talking about it broadly, but can you kindly expand on it?
Well, I'm only telling you what we know. We don't yet have any formal communication from any quarters of exactly the details of these things. That is why I'm mentioning them broadly, because we are also not just sitting down. We are also looking around to know exactly what is happening and what the impacts are. So I wouldn't want to say anything for any government spokesperson or official to come saying they are not doing this, they are not doing that. It is their responsibility to also communicate to the people of this country, to let us know the details of what they have gone to agree with the IMF. And of course, we will adequately and appropriately respond in equal measure and come up with our own perspective as to what we also think could be done to make sure that workers alone or citizens alone do not bear the cost of the challenges they have brought upon us.
The government said they've, in one way or the other, cut down on its expenditure. Is that what you see from your point of view?
My brother, I would have loved it if you asked them which of the expenditures, because so far as I'm concerned, the size of government is the same. If it does not even increase, the size of government is the same. Government expenditure is as it has been, and I have not seen where the cuts are. So maybe if they can let us know where the cuts are and what sacrifices are being made. Because the last time I checked, I think government is still interested in continuing this cathedral business. So I don't know if you could do us the favor of asking them to come out really where those cuts are. I believe where the cuts are not places that will make the necessary impact that we all expect to be made. But these are times that if government wants to make cuts, expenditure cuts, or take any measures that will bring this economy, there are very significant areas they can do that. And why don't they start by reducing the number of ministers? Why don't we have the number of ministers we have? Why don't we make it explicitly clear that the cathedral project is on hold? We are stopping it until this economy gets back on track. Why are we not doing that? So there are things that government can do which will clearly demonstrate that they are serious about this business. than what we are seeing. But I'm sorry, I don't know where the cuts are, and I don't know what impact it is having. Those cuts they are making, what impact it is having in solving the problem we have. But I can tell you, I'm aware of what the impact of the haircuts and others and the difficulties, the tax increases are going to bring upon workers and others. I'm very much aware, and every citizen of this country and every worker is aware of those ones. So I'm sorry, but you are a journalist, just as you're asking me. I'll be very grateful to know if you can let them come out clearly what cuts they are making and what significant contributions they are making to this compared to the burdens that are being brought upon workers and how it is helping in solving the problem.
Then we'll be following up on that. But tell us, is there any positive thing that the IMF deal will bring to us?
Well, I think the only positive thing I see here is the discipline that they are going to bring to the managers of our economy, because we have demonstrated that left alone, our government is not able to discipline itself in terms of expenditures and managing the economy or coming up with appropriate policies, contrary to what they've told us, to make sure that our economy develops to where it needs to be developed to. So, as you already saw, I mean, IMF staff at the Bank of Ghana trying to hold a cane and whip on the back of our central bank and our government that do this, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And I think that is a good thing. I think it is there. But, I mean, is that what it should be? Do we have to wait till somebody comes from somewhere to tell us how to manage our affairs? I'm sorry, but I think that is where we've gotten ourselves. Other than that, I mean, the IMF is also in business. The IMF World Bank, they are in business. They are a bank. And when you go for loans from a bank, what do you expect? They charge you interest on it. So they would also be making their own profit out of this. Other than that, I think is the discipline that comes with the IMF program, which we need to cultivate ourselves and make sure that when we cultivate it, it will help us or enable us to run our economy the way it's supposed to be.
So, Mr. Adjei, you know, formerly when things got tough some time ago, we called for cooler, and now things are, as you are saying, getting tougher again. What are we going to advocate for?
Well, my brother, I will tell you that cola is not something that we would want to continue to be asking for, because that is not why we work. We work and we expect that our efforts or our labor would be adequately and properly rewarded, which is something that is not happening in the public sector in this country. I believe that if you are adequately rewarded or paid for the work you are doing, there will be no need to request for COLA. So we are pushing that government should adequately and properly reward public sector workers for the work they do. And we stop this business of COLA. COLA was an interim measure. There was a crisis, and we had to use COLA as a stopgap. But no serious labor leader will want to be pushing always for COLA. No. We are pushing for public sector workers to be properly and adequately rewarded. The current remuneration system in the public sector, we keep saying, is unfair. It is unfair. We have a section of public sector workers, basically Article 71 people enjoying a lot at the expense of the many other public sector workers. And we pretend to be paying workers, but really, when you look at the pay and the conditions of living or the cost of living, it does not match up. There is something wrong somewhere. So I wouldn't want us to even start talking about COLA, because this is not about COLA. We are hard-working public servants of this country, and it is high time that somebody takes a second look to ensure that we are adequately rewarded for the work we do. And that is what we will continue fighting for as labor unions.
So will you call for a tripartite meeting after all this is settled?
Well, my brother, we don't have to wait for it to settle. We have gone to the IMF. It is no secret. I mean, it's an open secret, as they say. We've gone to the IMF. There are terms and conditions attached to it. And if government would even be proactive, they shouldn't even wait for us to call them. They should have even been proactive and call for a tripartite committee meeting to even come out with the necessary information. Open their arms to us and let us know that, look, we have gone here. These are the things. How do we resolve it? But of course, if they don't do it, we will do what we have to do to protect the interests of our members. And I believe that at the appropriate time, that will be done. Organized labor, we have an upcoming meeting. We are going to take our decisions, and if it requires that we write to government to request for either the tripartite committee meeting or a standing public services joint standing negotiating committee meeting, I can assure you we will do that appropriately, because the interest of our members is what we stand for. So we have an upcoming meeting, organized labor. We will wait to have that meeting. We will take our decisions, and then if by that time government has not been proactive to engage us, of course, we will definitely do that, because our members are going to go through certain precarious situations, and we wouldn't wait until the effects of whatever decisions government has reached with the IMF comes to bite before we start running. We are going to be proactive on that.
Some workers think the workers' union have been lapsed in the interest of workers. Do you share in that sentiment?
Obviously not. I do not share in that sentiment. I believe in times like this, I can understand our members who hold that view, or who are in one way or the other dissatisfied with some of the things happening. Yes, of course, all of us are dissatisfied with how our economy is being managed and how things are done. But remember that we are also living in a country of laws, okay, where sometimes you engage to manage government and you know the measures they are taking are wrong. We call for a change in those measures, and they also tell you that they have also been elected by the people and have been given that right to take decisions on behalf of the people. So sometimes the fight is not only for the leadership of the unions, it's a fight for all of us as workers and citizens of this country to stand up and come out on the street, if possible, to demand that certain steps and policies that government is implementing will not inure to our benefit and therefore should be reversed. You understand? If we leave this fight only for leaders of organized labor groups, I am sorry, sometimes it does not get us the results we want. So we would always do what we have to do to protect our members and citizens for that matter. But it gets to a point where there is the need for all of us to come out on the street. And we want to thank our members and the citizens of this country. For instance, during the debt restructuring, when government wanted to touch our pensions, and we warned them and they didn't listen to us. If our members and the citizens of this country had not come out to support the unions, that if this is done, they are going to shut the country down, government would have gone ahead to do it. But our members demonstrated, and I can tell you for a fact that they were trying to lobby our executives in the various organizations not to listen to us. That is the extent to which, when government becomes desperate, they can do. But we thank God that our leaders and members and workers in the various organizations did not listen to them, and they indicated that this is about their future, it's about their pension, and they supported the leadership of the unions. We also provided the leadership, and that's the only reason that our pension funds were not touched in this debt restructuring. So I want to tell all our members and every citizen out there that there are certain things we all need to come out and stand our grounds and let the government know that this is what we have directed our organized labor leaders to do, and that is the right thing to be done, but not because people have been elected into government, they hold all of us to ransom, take decisions that put all of us into this kind of crisis and difficulties. So I don't share the view that we are not doing what we have to do. I believe that we should do more. Yes, we should do more, but I believe that we are doing enough, and with their continuous support, we'll continue to achieve whatever goals and objectives we have set for ourselves.
So, any comforting message for workers?
Well, what I would tell workers is that once we have life, we thank God for that. But it's time for us to take our destinies into our own hands. Successive governments and the current government have proven that they don't have what it takes to give us what we need as citizens of this country, and more importantly, as workers of this country. And therefore, we are calling on them to stand firmly and strongly behind the union. It is only the union that if they negotiate something, it doesn't matter which part of the country you come from, it doesn't matter which color of your political party you are affiliated to is, it doesn't matter whether you are a man or woman, a child or an adult. If the union negotiates for something, everybody benefits equally. And that is what we want to encourage them to support us. And we believe that if we work together in unity and understanding, we are going to make our conditions better. And the citizens of this country will also be better. Mind you, every worker has dependents. They have a family, wife, children, relatives who depend on them for this meager salary for their livelihood. So when we look at the current workforce of the country, you can multiply that by averagely 4 or 6, and you can understand that majority of citizens of this country are affected by whatever is going on. And therefore, there is light, always light at the end of the tunnel. But it behooves on all of us to take our rightful places, demand from our government and elected officials to do what is needful for our benefit and our good, but not for their greed and their cronyism that they practice. Thank you.